Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you all for joining me. I am going to be sharing this link. I want you all to share it as well because this topic that I'm going into, this is something that we are seeing all too often. We're seeing it all too often, and there is not enough being said about these kinds of things. It's not enough. This one right here, someone brought to me earlier today, and I said, you know what, this thing is getting out of hand, these sorts of incidents. And, there is this pretense that this is not a real issue. Even some in our own community, the so-called black community, try to downplay this kind of stuff. Now, there are some people devastated by this. So as we looked at the story in the different news outlets that were covering this, people are devastated. The people who knew this woman, they are devastated. So I'm going to get into this. Before getting into the story, I am going to share the link, and I would ask that you all would share it as well. We would very much appreciate it. These topics need to be talked about in the black community. On the screen there, you are looking at the woman who has been taken out, and the man that is sitting next to her is the one accused of doing this. So I'm sharing this. I ask that you all share it as well. I would very much appreciate it. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into this story, y'all. We're going to get into this story. So look at this woman. They are saying that she was very beloved. She's a bookstore owner. And they found her in a creek, which was some ways away, a distance away from where this all took place. Again, the woman on the screen and the man that is sitting next to her is the one who they are alleging did this to her. So I'm going to get into the story. I want to share the details with you all of this very, very tragic story. Okay. So here it is. It says, the beloved owner of a popular Atlanta area bookstore. She was found deceased in a creek. And one of her employees, who happens to be a former boyfriend, has been accused of her kidnapping and taking her out. First, he kidnapped her and then he took her out. So the body of Erica Atkins, a 42-year-old mother of two and the owner of Birdsong Books in Henry County, was discovered by a fisherman in Cedar Creek in Putnam County around 1:15 p.m. on Monday. The Henry County Sheriff's Office told a local news outlet. Atkins, who had been reported missing on Sunday, was found about an hour's drive from the bookstore. Police said they believed she was taken out in Henry County, and that her body was then dumped in a nearby Putnam County. Her employee, Romero Johnson, age 38, was arrested and charged with kidnapping and taking her life. This is according to police. There they are together again. Okay, so let me break away from the article for just a moment here. Let me break away from the article for just a moment. So there is a lot of pretense among some of the men in our community that this sort of thing is not a real issue. There's all kinds of narratives put out there. Okay. There are even those who feel attacked when you talk about these certain things, these topics. And they say that you're always attacking men. Now, we are talking about a situation that is so tragic that people are left devastated. Now, we have a situation where a woman, not only was she the bookstore owner, not only was she making a difference in her community, not only was she helping young people, but she also helped this man right here. Now, when you look at the news footage that covered this story, they talked about how even children that would come into her store who needed help with reading and things of that nature, she was there for it. She did this for the community because she saw a need. She saw a need. So if you feel attacked by us covering this story, then you have a problem. You have a problem. If you identify more with him as being a man than identifying with the fact that there is a problem in our community that needs to be fixed, you probably got some serious problems and some serious spiritual deficiencies that need to be dealt with. Because this woman opened up her heart not just to the community, but to this man who was obviously in need. He was obviously in need, and she employed him. Now it says that they dated at one time. Okay? For whatever reason, she made the decision or the choice that they could no longer continue in that. Jamaica Hazley says, this brings me back to the video that we did regarding the spirit of betrayal, because he did betray her. That's right. This is very sad. Cody in the chat says this is why they have given up on dating. They prefer to wait until we get together into the kingdom. Okay. Kimmy Latree says trying to date these days seems like a death sentence because you don't know what you're getting into. You don't know what you're getting into. Not only was this woman dating this man, but she was also helping him. And y'all know that there's a narrative out there that black women don't like to help black men. Ain't that something? But what was she doing for him? I'm pretty sure that there's some in the manosphere who could conjure up a way in their minds to make her the one who is guilty of something versus him. She gave this man a job. I want to share this story with you all because I want to say to the daughters of Zion that you don't owe anybody anything. You don't have to help these people without directions from the Most High. Make sure that you are hearing from the Most High when you decide that you want to help someone, because what happened in her life, what happened to this woman, she is no longer here because she decided to help someone. Now, Victoria Spirit in the chat says if she didn't help him, she might still be alive. Set apart for Yah says this is breaking her heart just thinking about her children. Absolutely. SJ says that we need to use discernment when dealing with people. And so all of what you guys are saying is true. We need to use discernment. Sometimes discernment goes out the window because we are trying to help our people. We're trying to love on our people, right? But I'm telling y'all, because of the increase of these types of situations and even other situations of betrayal, because of these situations of betrayal, if you ain't led by the Most High to help somebody, you need to just back away. If you're not sure about something, back away. If you're getting any type of red flags, back away. If you are not getting a direct order from the Most High, back away. To the daughters of Zion especially, I say, because you are the weaker vessel. If you don't have a way to protect yourself against someone who could do you this type of harm, back away. Back away. So I'm going to get back into the story to finish some more of the details of this very, very tragic situation. Okay, so it says Atkins was allegedly kidnapped and taken out by Johnson, who worked at her bookstore in the Atlanta suburbs. Okay, look at him. There he is. Even though they had stopped dating, she still let him keep his job. She still let him keep it. So this is a woman who was trying to help this black man, and it turned out bad for her. This is why when I have brothers coming on my channel saying this, that, and the third about black women, that they don't stick by their men, they don't do this. You might be talking about a handful of black women who you've had a bad experience, and then I would want to know the other side of the story. What makes you think that she wasn't sticking by you? Because she wanted you to stop mistreating her? I mean, what was it? Why are you saying this? It's easy to say that they don't stick by their man, but without the details, I got to know what you're talking about. Was she trying to get rid of you out of a house that she owns because you were being violent? I mean, what was going on in that situation that you're saying they don't stick by you? See, the problem is a lot, not all, but many of these brothers who are doing these kinds of things. Notice I'm making a differentiation. I'm separating good men from this right here. But many of the brothers who do these kind of things or sympathize with men who do these kinds of things are men who are doing something to a woman and they get upset at her because she don't want to take their mess anymore. And so then your whole narrative becomes that black women don't want to stick by their men. Oh, you mean because she don't want to put up with your junk anymore? Johnson, 38, is charged with kidnapping and taking her life. Henry County Sheriff Atkins and Johnson had also previously dated before she broke it off. Now, the father of one of her youngest child told this to the news outlet. Okay, Atkins' death has left her local community in shock. A makeshift memorial of flowers was erected in front of the Locust Grove bookstore. One person says, I am sick, and I have a sick feeling in my stomach, in my head, and I just can't stop thinking about her. I just keep thinking about her. Okay, that's according to one of her friends, Shauna Amoa. Another person said, it just floored me. Basically, it floored me beyond measure. I was just completely devastated. That was the statement again by Amoa. Okay, there she is again. She's wearing a t-shirt, Birdsong Books. New and twice loved reads. So, wow, she did something to make a difference in her community, and she wanted to encourage reading. So Atkins was found in the creek about an hour away from her bookstore. Okay, there she is with the man again who allegedly took her out of here, who took her life. Romero Johnson and Erica Atkins. That's an image of them right there. Amoa said that Atkins was a beloved pillar of the community and had just won a Small Business of the Year award from the local Chamber of Commerce. Erica was a busy woman. She was committed to helping her community. She donated books, donated her time. In fact, she came last year to my summer camp and read to my kids, donated her time there. So again, this is one of those very difficult and very sad stories that we are seeing that has unfolded again in the black community. Okay. Patty Brown says she looked like a loving and sweet woman. Malak says there are two-legged demons, demonic beings that walk among us. Okay. Oh my goodness. Relaxing and Healing Sound says too many stories of black men murdering black women. And then they go on to say, I'm okay with not dating these days. Now, Malak says that my sisters love these type of men and I don't even know why. So here's the thing, y'all. It's easy to say that. She obviously stopped dating him for a reason. Okay? So it's not that women love these kind of men. There are some women who do seek out bad guys. But there are other situations to where a woman was trying to give somebody a chance. They came across as being a decent person in the beginning. And then they date him and they find out that he's not the decent man that he was trying to portray himself as. And then they break it off. And then these men can't take it. It's not always about women choosing wrong. Some things are just about a man being a demon who hides his demonic nature. And then she finds out about it. And then she no longer wants to deal with that. So instead of always trying to find a way to put this on the woman, find out why some of our men are turning to this type of violent behavior. Wilbur McBride said he's fortunate that she even looked his way. Like everybody's saying, she was a good woman. She had a business that was, helping the community. And thank you, Patty Brown. Some people are just wolves in sheep's clothing. Don't pretend that some people, whether it's a man or a woman, okay? Some people present themselves as a sheep, but they're really a sheep in wolf's clothing. And you don't know that until after the fact. And to Vihana, I'm not sure what you mean by this, but this right here has nothing to do with the blame game. Okay? I'm not sure if that's what you meant with that statement, but this particular story has nothing to do with the blame game. We are talking specifically about this man and men who think and act like him. So this is not a blame the man, blame the woman type situation. We're talking about violent men who deal with women in this way, or women who decide to walk away from violent men and then they are blamed for choosing bad. Thank you very, very much, Vihana. Thank you very much for explaining that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because sometimes when I'm looking at the chat and I'll see people literally just, trying to redirect the conversation to put the blame on the woman, right? So I'm glad that you clarified that. I really appreciate that. Now, Malak clarified as well that his little sister is somehow attracted to these kinds of men who abuse her. Okay. And so I don't even know if it's necessarily that a woman is looking for a man. I'm looking for an abuser. You know what I'm saying? I think what it is women are not always discerning that a man is an abuser. And then when they end up or find out that they are, they tend to stay in these relationships. So you do have to ask yourself, why is it that some women attract these kinds of men? And I think what it is some women have bought into the whole idea of giving people a chance that haven't even proven themselves. Shava says that her baby girl just escaped someone like this, and she went out of her way to help and soon found out it was a lost cause. So again, that is usually the case. Women are not out here actively seeking somebody to abuse them. They're not out here actively seeking somebody who's going to knock them upside. It's just not happening. What's happening is women are left with so few choices that when they find someone, they decide to give them a chance, and then they find out it is a monster. And as Tina pointed out, he will serve time in jail, but then he also has to deal with the Most High. Most High gonna come for him too. Right? Too much of this, as someone pointed out in the chat earlier, too much of this is happening. Too many of these dudes are taking out the daughters of Zion. And too many men are trying to downplay this and pretend like it falls on the woman because she's making the wrong choices. I mean, we shouldn't even have this type of thing running rampant in our communities to begin with. If we were looking at this stuff and saying, look, we got to fix this. If our men were talking with our men, women talking with the women, if we as a community were working together instead of so fragmented and divided, we would look at the stuff that happens in our communities and say, look, we have to get away from this type of stuff. We gotta get away from this type of thing. That is what we need to be doing. We have to figure out how to fix this stuff among ourselves. In my opinion, if we handled our business like we're supposed to as black people, men being the head, women being, helpmeets to the head, what if this sister had somebody to call? What if this sister felt confident that there was somebody around that she could call? Now, Battle Axe says women seem to have a tendency to try to correct the behavior of men who cannot be corrected. Only Yah can do that. And I agree with that. Women, sisters, daughters of Zion, we have to understand that you can't fix nobody. If you think that a person needs fixing to begin with, don't even try with them. It makes me wonder that if she had never dated him, but he just worked there and she never opened up the door for dating, if things would have been different. But even in cases like that, you have to ask yourself, can a person, because we've seen situations too where if a man feels rejected, a woman wasn't even interested in dating him. If he feels rejected, sometimes they take you out even with that. So it's like black women are in a situation that's tripped out. Now, Jerry says it's a shame that some of these women get these no good men. Now, again, I want to say this to Jerry just for clarification. Women are not actively seeking this type of thing. Some men present themselves as good men, but they are actually wolves in sheep's clothing. So should the narrative be that black women should just leave these people alone altogether? Like Melanated Mantra says, this is a tragic Good Samaritan story. Stories like this are making it as though if you don't know this person thoroughly, don't hire them, don't help them, don't give them a chance. I mean, would you all agree with what I just said there? When you see a story like this, does this mean that we should not hire them? Talking about men like this, don't help them, don't even give them a chance. Is this what y'all saying? If this is going to be the end result, I need some brothers to give me clarification. Is this what y'all saying? Because most of these cases ain't got nothing to do with a woman just picking some man who's just a bad guy. She probably thought he was a decent guy. Wow. Now, to the person, Salfadine Muhammad, he said, here we go. All black men are to be punished because of this guy. Is that what I said? I asked a question. Based on some of the responses that some of the men are saying that women are picking bad guys. So again, everything keeps bouncing back to the woman. Just like Vihana said, this is happening just about weekly. Some say it's happening daily. So this ain't got nothing to do with every black man being blamed. Now, Clarence Rogers says, and none of you people in the truth will call out Cynthia G. Y'all can't be the true people of God. Oh my goodness. This video ain't got nothing to do with Cynthia G. Nothing at all. This video has something to do with the woman on the screen and the man on the screen. But as usual, some of you men cannot stay on topic. You cannot stay on topic. What the heck does this have to do with calling out Cynthia G? Wow. Why don't you tell me about this guy on the screen? And you say y'all can't be God's people. No, you can't be. And yeah, you're right. I'm not God's people because God is not his name. That's not his name. See, the problem is you can't acknowledge the truth. You can't acknowledge the truth that there's so much violence among so-called black men that you men are not calling out, that women have to call it out and tell women to be careful. And you say black men are always held accountable even when they are innocent. Held accountable for what if you're innocent? What can you be held accountable for in innocence? Wow. Who is innocent in this story we're talking about? I mean, no disrespect to my honorable brothers. I mean, no disrespect to my brothers who understand what's happening in our communities. No disrespect at all. I love my brothers. I love my sisters. But I want y'all to understand, when y'all come in my chat and y'all bring up these nonsensical points and you're talking about something that has absolutely nothing to do with this tragedy, nothing to do with this tragedy and tragedies that are just like it, it shows that you have a heart problem. And then you want to say that we can't be serving the Most High, that we can't be the children of the Most High. You actually sound very, very spiritually sick and spiritually dead. Just like Shauna says, y'all get into y'all feelings. And you also, Shauna also pointed out that we don't follow that channel. We don't follow that young lady's channel. So for you to get over here and you're talking about this stuff, you are spiritually lacking something. We need to deal with these issues in the so-called black community. Just like we need to deal with these senseless, tragic deaths, there are so many other things in the black community that we need to deal with. Now, I'm not sure what you mean by this. Dallas Cowboy says, wow, another one downplaying black men. Are you saying that we are now downplaying black men because we're covering this story? Is that what you're saying? Huh? Is that what you are saying? I need some clarification on that. This ain't downplaying black men. I'm talking about that man and men who think and act like him. Just like Jerry Mallett says, is getting risky nowadays and dangerous for our sisters out here. Thanks, brother, for that. It is. Oh my goodness. And D Nice says, you never put black women held accountable. Y'all go with that same stuff over and over, that we never hold black women. I really wish that some of you men would stop whining and crying in my chat. This has nothing to do with black female accountability. We are talking about a beloved bookstore owner who was found dead at her store, place of business, by this man on the screen after having helped him. What the hell does this have to do with black women being held accountable for their actions? What does it have to do with that? Please stop whining and crying and moaning and groaning about black female accountability, because when black females do this kind of thing, the same judgment that's coming on the men is coming on them too. But this story has nothing to do with that. Please stop with the crying and the whining and the woe is me, because I can assure you that our brothers who are not guilty of this sort of thing, they are probably wishing that they were there to help protect that sister. And they're not sitting back saying, oh, I can't believe Sister DeBar is talking about this. Why is she always down on us? You should be down on this man too. You should be talking about his actions too, the same way that everyone talks about it, the same way the news covers it. Brother Kevin says your own conscience is burning you. It's burning you. Come on. I agree. I do agree with what Brother Jerry says. Find out about these men's spiritual background before you help them, before you hire them, before you deal with them. I agree with that. And even when you find out about the spiritual background, be very discerning, because everybody toting a Bible around cannot be trusted. Everybody saying Shabbat Shalom can't be trusted. Everybody saying praise the Lord can't be trusted. And if you have any brothers or uncles or cousins, male cousins or grandfathers or fathers around, maybe you should have them vet that person too. Now, Clarence, you said that we find the worst of situations and we highlight them. Let me tell you something, Clarence, because you're one who whines a lot in my chat. Let me tell you something. I don't find anything. Clarence, someone shared this with me. Can I tell you who shared this story with me? Clarence Rogers. It was my husband, Watchman. He said, baby, you're going to trip out on this one. You need to take a look at this story. He said, this thing had me so upset. Now, let me tell you why it bothered my husband, because he don't like this sort of thing. But he does not have the time that I have, because he's very, very busy doing projects on this property as we speak. There's some building projects that they're working on. So he doesn't have the time to cover this. And so he emailed it to me. And I hope you don't have a problem with that. Wow. He said, baby, here's one you might want to cover. Because he is a man who don't get bothered when I talk about these things. My husband don't get triggered when I talk about these things, because he knows he's not this kind of man. Wow. Again, in our communities, we've got work to do. We got a lot of praying, a lot of fasting, a lot of seeking. And Shorty 052 made a very good point here. She says, but black men love finding the worst about black women. That is so true. Now, another point I want to make, because a lot of folk don't want to look at this point. Okay. Sometimes when I share positive stories, many times I've shared positive stories, folk like Clarence don't even show up. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't show up. When I recently shared the story, as a matter of fact, I did it years ago, but I reshared it again, where the black fella adopted 5 black children so that he can keep the family together. I didn't see Clarence nowhere around on that one. And here D-Nice says that that I always put black men as the worst humans on earth. How about your next live, you show a positive image of a black man? Okay, I just share it with you. D-Nice, how come you didn't show up when I was talking about the black man who adopted those children? And again, when I talk about these things, y'all never show up with that kind of stuff. You never show up to pay any attention to that. You have nothing to say about those kinds of stories. And again, y'all sound, please, fellas, please. Please stop crying and whining about what we talk about. Because again, like Brother Yahusha is the King says, why do y'all males keep coming to this channel? If you feel Sister Deborah is always bashing men, as you say, you would think they would go somewhere else. Exactly. And Patty Brown says, hit dogs are hollering. Again, when I cover positive stories of our brothers or our sisters, where are you on that? Now, Clarence Rogers says that he's raising 2 black sons by himself. Their mother passed away from breast cancer, and I'm sorry to hear that, Clarence. He says he's raising the sons by himself and trying to show them positive images of black men and boys. This is terrible. Okay, show them those positive images. Okay, my videos have titles. Show them the story where I talked about the black man who created or invented that water machine. Where's that? Why don't men show up for that? I talk about the positive and the negative, because the Bible tells us to cry aloud and spare not, and lift up our voices like trumpets in Zion, and show our people their transgressions. I just can't show you about the inventor of the water machine. I can't just talk about the brother who adopted those children. I can't just talk about the brother who went into an Asian store and checked them for how they were dealing with our people in the community. I can't just talk about those things. I can't just talk about those who are investing in real estate. As a matter of fact, again, when I talk about those things, a lot of people aren't even interested. Most people are interested in controversial things. So I talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. When I'm talking about growing food, Brother Clarence, do you want to show your brother that? When I'm talking about buying land, do you want to show your sons that? It's just that, again, my husband shared the story with me, because there is an increase in this, and not enough people are talking about the violence in the black community, where our men are snapping and taking the daughters of Zion out. I can't hush this type of conversation because it makes you uncomfortable. We have to warn the daughters of Zion to be careful. And if that means, hey, not hiring somebody in your place of business unless you've had them fully vetted, then that's what it means. Oh my goodness. Shava says, maybe when you talk about the positives, they get the who do they think they are spirit. I mean, I've seen that too. I remember when we first came into this truth, and I was trying to get a feel for the environment, the atmosphere. This is before we did the Whited Out series. This is before anybody knew who we were. And I was just trying to get a feel for everybody, right? I was looking at some of the comments, and I look at a post, and I made a comment. I said, yeah, my husband does this, that, and the third too. And then a brother came at me, and his first response is, don't nobody care what your husband does. And I said, wow. I'm just trying to get into the conversation with my people, I thought at the time. Like I said, nobody knew who we were. We hadn't done our documentaries. We were new in the truth. And I'm just trying to fit into the people, trying to get a feel for our people who are supposed to be awoke. And I'm seeing conversations about this, that, and the third. And when I interjected and I was dealt with in that way, I said, man. And I started to notice that a lot of brothers have this very abrasive attitude towards black women, even if they are praising their husband. Wow. So anyway, family. I'm trying to look at some of the comments here, and it's like talking to a brick wall. It's like talking to a brick wall with some of the dudes in the chat. They will continue the whining. They will continue the crying. They will not address the problems in the community. I'm not attacking my brothers. I'm talking about this situation right here, and men who do these kinds of things. Someone says that the Most High is simply exposing these men. Selah, the billionaire mindset socialite, said that the Most High is just exposing. That's exactly what's happening. He's exposing the rotten, dirty hearts. I did a video yesterday, and someone actually said, it's about time you talk about the women. And someone had to correct them on that. Someone had to correct them and say, What are you talking about? Sister Deborah is always over the years, if you go back into our archives, you will see that I've always spoke about the issues of black women. Wow. So anyway, I can't give any more time to whining people. I'm done talking about this story, about this beautiful sister who's lost her life. You know, if you dudes in the comment section, you feel more hurt about the fact that I'm bringing this to light. If you feel more hurt about that and less about the fact that this woman is no longer here. You know, this one dude says, get your moderators in check. You are specifically targeting black men as evil. How about check these black queens? How about you just stop whining and crying, dude? Are you not hearing what has been said? We have checked them over the years. When you say check them, what are you even talking about? What are you even talking about? This is a story about a crime committed against someone. Oh my goodness. When I've talked about the Sukihanas of the world, these young female rappers who are destroying the minds of our young people. I mean, what else do you want me to do? We do talk about these things. I really wish that this actually shows a very, very, very spiritually immature person when you can't stay on topic. Yeah, I'm like Cassie is saying, what about black women are supposed to be checked that we aren't checking? And someone pointed out that they learned about Sukihana from this channel. I've talked about her a number of times on this channel about how her music is a disaster in the black community, how it will literally destroy young people. Spirit and Truth says, I'll attack them, sister. The system had made our brothers horribly weak and soft and drama queens. And so, please, brothers, we don't have to do this. We can call everything what it is. Everybody has to give an account for the deeds done in their bodies, whether it's black men or black women. Tiffany also concurred with the fact that she learned about Sukihana from this channel. So don't say that we don't put black women in check. Don't say that we don't, because we do. We talk about the daughters of Zion needing to be more discerning and not being silly women laden with sin. Now, I know you want every video to be about that, but there is so much more to the conversation. We also have to tell them how to be safe out here. Listen to all the whiners and the criers in my chat. I have daughters. And trust and believe that we have had these conversations with our daughters about being wise. And then when you are not wise, this is the type of thing that can happen to you. We tell our daughters this. Likewise, we tell our sons that you will not be allowed to mistreat one of the daughters of Zion. And we also tell our sons, you better make sure that you pick the right daughter of Zion. Because if you don't, what you get is what you picked. So nobody needs to come on here and pretend like I'm sheltering the women. No. They have their part to play as well in the choices that they make. But at the same time, I still have a right as a daughter of Zion to warn them as well. We have to teach our sons and our daughters how to be in this world. And I've already told my daughters, you don't deserve you don't owe nobody the benefit of the doubt. You better pray and ask the Most High what He says. You don't owe anybody a chance. You don't. You better pray and ask the Most High. And we also tell them, don't look at somebody and say, give them a chance. Brother Spirit of Truth says we need boot camp, so buckle up, soldier. I agree with that. 100%. And that goes in both directions. Y'all know over the years, I did a series years ago, many years ago, and I recently re-uploaded it, I think last year, where I was specifically telling the daughters of Zion that you better keep yourself intact and don't let your desires, your sexual desires, cause you to make bad choices. I told them, don't get in your feelings and be out here making bad choices. I've also told the daughters of Zion, to those of you who keep on whining and crying, I also told them that it does fall on you because you do carry the baby. You are the one who has to carry that child. Those who have followed this channel for the duration of this channel, y'all know that I've been talking about this stuff for years. But again, this is a story that was shared with me. I've also shared stories where there have been black women who have done some crazy, deplorable things. And every story that is shared with me about black men, I don't even cover. Y'all know I don't. Some of y'all have shared so many stories with me, and I don't even get to it. I don't even get to it because I don't have time to get to it. And if I just so happen to choose a story on a particular day, that's my prerogative. Sometimes things are shared with me and it's been out there for a while, and I say, well, you know what? There's no need for me to talk about that because it's been out there. Somebody sent it to me 2 weeks ago. You see, Brother Davon McKenzie, I thank the Most High for you, young man. He's been a moderator for years on both of our channels. He's been a moderator for years. I appreciate your service to the ministry, and I appreciate all of our moderators. I appreciate your service to the ministry. Disrespect is one thing. We do say that if a person is sharing their opinion, we don't necessarily block you for that. We don't necessarily block you because you disagree. The blocking comes if you do get disrespectful. There have been people who have come on here and called me out of my name, and some of our moderators will bounce them. But if you just have a differing opinion, or you're just sharing a comment and it may not even agree, like Clarence Rogers, I don't know if I've ever seen him disrespect me. It's possible, but I can't say that I've seen it, but he definitely disagrees a whole lot. Disagreements are allowed, but disrespect, thank you, Brother Davon. If they disrespect, they got to go. Now, Clarence says, make sure that you call out his mama because she raised that savage or brute beast. So again, Clarence wants us to redirect to get the blame off of him and talk about the woman who raised him. So let me ask you this, Clarence. How do you know he didn't have a father in the house? Because we know personally of situations where there was a mother and a father in the house, and the offspring turned out to be rotten to the core. So what is your take on that? How do you know this man didn't have a father in the house? Why is it that you have to redirect everything to the mama or the woman? Just like Sister B pointed out, he had a mother and a father. So where's his role in all of this? How do you know that his father wasn't? Because again, Again, we know of situations personally where there was a mother and a father. A mother and a father. And this thing still happened. Now, H-Town 100 says there's a lot of Jezebels out here. I really wish you can explain what a Jezebel is to me. I'll wait. I'll wait for you. H-Town 100. I'll give you a few minutes. Go ahead and explain to us what the Jezebels out here are. Those that are following this live chat right now, we're going to wait for them. We're going to give them a few moments to explain to us what a Jezebel is. Because those who follow this ministry, they already know from a biblical standpoint. We did a whole series on the Jezebel spirit. So we're going to give you a few minutes to explain your take on it. Okay, so H-Town says, don't know this situation, but taking a woman out isn't good at all. But I can see how things like this happen. Okay, so again, I want you to explain your comment about Jezebels. A lot of Jezebels out here. Okay, so your comment about you don't know anything about this situation. Okay, taking a woman out isn't good, but I see things happen like this. Okay, I need you to kind of bring that into why you're saying there's a lot of Jezebels out here. What does that have to do with this? I need a real answer. If you can't provide one, we understand. But that is the go-to statement when brothers hear stuff that they don't like women talking about. And some of us are still waiting. Patty Brown is waiting with her popcorn. We're trying to get that. Okay, so he comes back and he says, hold up, let's see this somebody the elderly used to tell us. That's somebody the elderly used to tell us. Okay, so again, what do you know? Okay, laugh out. Hold on, sis. Okay, I'm still trying to get that. Okay, so apparently, let me just give you a brief summation of what, when you say there's a whole lot of Jezebels out here. Jamaica Hasley says he's just bumping his gums. Okay. Okay, that was a little funny to me, y'all. All right. On a real note, though, family, the Jezebel spirit is not what people have cracked it up to be. The Jezebel spirit is a foreign woman who was married to an Israelite king who was disobedient to the Most High, right? And this woman, Jezebel, that he married, she killed the prophets of the Most High, Yah. Okay, so of course you weren't saying that it had anything to do with the story, but you said you were speaking in general. Okay, when you say there's a lot of Jezebels out here, but you were speaking in general, again, my question was, do you even know what Jezebel was all about? And so it's clear by your answer there that you don't know what Jezebel. Okay, so you say talk to you. Okay, talk to you. So again, so maybe now you said let you know. All right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that, brother. I'm going to let you know so that you can stop using that Jezebel story as a defense. Usually a lot of brothers come on this channel and they say that I'm operating under the Jezebel spirit because I'm talking about a situation that involves a brother or a man. Okay, Jezebel was a woman who did evil in the sight of the Most High for her husband. Not only did she kill the prophets or have them killed, but her husband was so wicked. He wanted another man's land. And because she was a wicked false prophetess, she set the stage to have an innocent man killed so that her husband could then commandeer or take his land. And so she's considered a ride or die woman because her husband had a desire. He was a wicked man. He had a desire, and she did everything in her power to make sure that he got what he wanted. I recently talked about the fact that a lot of men today would actually think that Jezebel was a good choice over some of the righteous women of the Bible. So I hope that gave you that was just a quick understanding of who Jezebel was. For all of the dudes who continue to use her as the scapegoat to try to shut the woman up. Meaning, I don't want to hear what you got to say, so you must have the Jezebel spirit. Okay, so H-Town says, now don't get it twisted. I'm with you now. I'm not going against you. Calm down, people. Well, I'm a very reasonable person. I'm a very reasonable person. And so I can accept that. Now that you understand what the Jezebel spirit. So a lot of people can now, I really wish that a lot of brothers who call women Jezebel and say these kind of things, I wish they understood it from the proper context. Because Jezebel, from the Christian perspective, I remember in the Christian church, they would say that a woman who dressed in makeup and heels and lipstick and all the kind of stuff, oh, she got the Jezebel spirit. And I used to believe that. I used to believe that a woman who dressed with high heels and this, that, and the third was a woman who had the Jezebel spirit. That's because that's what the pastors in the Christian church taught. Guess who helped me to understand the Jezebel spirit? It was my husband and his teaching. When my husband first brought that teaching, I said, wow. Wow. I said, this is powerful. You can't just go off of what pastor is saying. Pastor don't always get it right. But that man of the Most High Yah that I call my husband, he brought it to the proper perspective. Y'all hear what I'm saying? He brought the proper perspective. He even brought the proper perspective on when the scripture says, resist the devil, he will flee from you. You know what I was led to believe initially about resist the devil, he will flee from you? I was led to believe that you're supposed to just simply ignore him and he'll just run away. He'll go away. But guess what? It was my husband, watchman, who brought the proper perspective on that. He said, no, baby, it don't mean ignore the devil and he will flee from you. He said, if you look up resist, it means fight. Woo! I said, that's so powerful. This is why we have to get the proper biblical understanding of things. The proper biblical understanding. Wow. The proper biblical understanding. And so this is why initially I wasn't necessarily participating in the ministry with my husband, even before he did, the ministry that we're in now. He was doing this as a Christian, and the Most High told him to hang it up. But even at that time, I didn't want to have no parts to do with this. It wasn't until the Most High said that he was ready and then I was ready that we did this. I had no interest in doing any of this. It was the Most High who lit that flame under me. Trust and believe when I tell you I had no interest in any of this. And so I need y'all to understand that when we talk about these things, when we talk about these situations, we are talking about that situation. Delvin, Edward, one of these days I'm going to expound on what you're saying here. You're saying 57% of black men don't have kids, lady. It's not us. So I'm gonna break down those statistics that you all keep bringing out there. I need to break it down because, again, there's a vast misunderstanding that is being put out there. Of those statistics, you have to understand, when you say 57% of black men, there are some senior men in those numbers. There are men that are being counted in those statistics who are teen to age 18 as well. So of course, those men in certain age demographics are not going to have kids. But of the ones who do have children, you have to rightly divide these statistics that you're throwing out there. You have to rightly divide those statistics, because just to say 50% of us have no kids, brother, and all thy getting, get understanding. Again, what is the point? Guess what? Get the statistics of black women who don't have children either, because you have to compare that as well. Wow. You have to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Because there are a whole lot of black women who don't have kids either. You have to compare the black women who have kids with the black men who have kids. Those are the numbers you look at. But I've seen a lot of brothers deceptively saying 57% of us don't have kids. But you're forgetting that counted within that percentage are those who are 18, between a certain age and 18, and those who are, oh my goodness. There's a good percentage of black women who don't have them either. But those are the things. And the only reason why I agree with you, Sister Vanetta, she says, please don't engage them. Most of them, okay, she says most of them can't even read on 8th grade level. Okay, so I understand what you're saying. But because of the topic that I'm talking about, sometimes I will engage or look at certain statements that are being made, because it falls in line with what we're talking about as it relates to women needing to protect themselves from certain men. And so I certainly get your point in saying what you've said. I certainly get that. But this is, one of those issues where it makes a good point for me to address some of the statements men are making. Some of the statements they are making. But that's one of the reasons why this sister on the image right here on the screen should have been a little bit more careful with helping certain types of men. Clarence Rogers, it seems to be a lot that triggers you. Wow. You seem to be triggered by a whole lot. I don't understand it. You don't even know if the sister who made that statement has any sons. You don't know that. And so don't be bothered by that she wasn't talking about you. She was talking about the men. Wow. She was talking about the men who the shoe fits. The ones who act like they can't comprehend what's going on. She didn't say you. And Shaw, thank you very much. She says, pray for our brother. Absolutely. And guess what I do? I pray that the Most High will straighten his people out so that they can be ready and prepared for the marriage supper of the Lamb. And sometimes those prayers mean that the Most High gonna have to do some things to straighten folk out. We done talked about that before too. Sister Abby, one of our moderators, says that the spirit of offense is strong on that person. It does appear to be that way. Delvin, those numbers have not been vetted. Had those numbers been vetted, they would have compared the number of black women who have children with the number of black men who have children and those who don't. Those numbers have not been vetted. Okay? When you say that, you have to compare the right two statistics together. That's what I'm referring to. Because again, I'm going to say it one more time, since you don't seem to have heard the first time or the second or third time. Of those numbers that they're referring to, they're talking about different age demographics as well. Of course, some within a certain age range will not have children. But that has nothing to do with it, because again, let me just throw this other thing out here since you want to keep saying that and bringing it up. There are brothers who are actually putting numbers out here saying that there are only 20% of the men in this country, black men, who are impregnating 80 something percent of the black women. And so when you do the numbers, it actually sounds very nonsensical to put that kind of information out there with your name put on it, because you're saying that these men each had 100 or more children each. Y'all hear what I'm saying? You have to make sure that it makes sense. And stop putting these false statistics out there, because when you say 20% of the men are impregnating that many of the women. Now, I've seen some men who have got a lot of kids, but I ain't seen none here in the U.S. who have between 100 and 200 kids apiece. Anyway, y'all, I gotta go. I have to go. I thank you all for joining me. I did not mean to go this long on this topic, but I appreciate you all for joining me, for your time on this. Condolences to this woman and her family and those in the community who are devastated by this loss. There's a huge loss. A huge loss. And I can understand that this is a really sad situation for them. She was a pillar in the community. This is what she's been called. A pillar in the community. So anyway, family, I'm going to be done with this topic. Those of you who can hear the truth and take it for what it is, so be it. Those of you who have a problem with the truth, carry on. And pray that the Most High will help you with your understanding on things, because these things have to make sense when you say them. At the end of the day, this woman is gone. This man did it allegedly, and people are devastated. What is your take on that? Because many of you who contend with me in the chat, you never even address the tragedy of the situation. I haven't seen one of you men who have contended with me in the chat. I haven't seen one of you say anything as it relates to this woman and what she had to endure. I'm done with this, family. Those of you who are going to watch this later on, you can chop it up in the comment section. But until next time, I am out.